funniest thing in the world.
Should I speak on this little flattened side where this baby was dropped? Or should I speak on the round side?
Just speak into it, because when I was listening to the last episode or Spider-Man, I kept I was bad. Like I could hear it as I kept pulling the mic away from
you were bad.
Yeah.
She do be bad though.
But this is the first time that I've actually noticed it, that I kept pulling the mic too far away from me, and then you couldn't hear me.
Yep.
And so, do I do that all the time?
You don't do it all the time. I try to catch it most of the time with compression, but I didn't do a whole lot of compression in this most recent episode.
Okay.
Because you told me that you didn't like the way it sounded, and so I was trying to fix it without compression, but that requires better mic etiquette.
So what we're hearing is it's all Randy's fault.
It is all Randy's fault.
It's all Randy's fault.
I'm getting better at admitting my mistakes, guys. It's not...
Welcome to It's All Randy's Fault.
It's All Randy's Fault, the podcast, where we talk about how it's all Randy's fault.
We don't have to have the thing up, because it's in there now.
Yeah.
But you know what we don't have?
I have a timer.
You do have a timer.
I'm looking at it.
Wow. That's tiny.
I can read it, so it's...
Well...
that makes me special, guys. It makes me really special.
Josh, stop staring at me. Oh,
you're fucking...
That was a lot to get set up.
It was a lot.
More than I expected.
Taylor, I don't like how low you are. Can you raise your chair?
I can sit up or raise my chair or both.
Just don't fall like you did last time.
That's going to be so difficult not to look down there.
Oh,
but to look up there.
Do you want me to make it so only I can see it?
No, because I don't want you looking at it either.
I mean,
none of us should be looking at it.
It's not going to be a huge deal.
But if we're staring at it,
yeah, let's all stare at it.
We have a monitor
monitor
right there running the cam feed so that we can make sure.
I'm trying to.
Hang on, am I in focus?
Am I in focus?
Is that as high as you can go?
Hello there.
I mean, but you slouch. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
In stools.
I know, and I'm sorry.
I'm a tall boy.
But it's
fun fact. Oh no, I guess I can save that.
If you can't, it's okay. It feels weird, but I think we'll be okay.
I think it's because he's super tall and sitting in a stool.
Should I be sitting in the comfy chair and
no,
y'all be
because
sitting
we're
in
the
the
same
stools?
height, so it doesn't really matter.
That's fair.
But it matters how long your torso is. Who has the longer torso? Because I feel like, Taylor, you're all legs.
Am I?
You got longer legs than you got a torso.
I feel like I'm all torso, but...
I feel like I'm pretty evenly split. I have nice legs, though. My legs are gorgeous.
Okay, this isn't about you.
Yeah.
Look here.
As soon as it was about you, we changed it.
I'm gonna try to get all of my eyes into the camera out of my system before we start.
Just do it now. Stare at him.
I mean, that's what I do is I stare at the camera. There's nothing... Oh, okay. He's kissing you guys.
No, that's what I meant. It was just like the bedroom eyes.
Oh, those eyes.
Oh, yeah, those ones that I...
Don't get.
Are we recording right now?
Yeah, we are.
Oh.
This is the cold open.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have said anything.
Open.
We shouldn't have said anything to you because now you're nervous.
I was about to say something that I shouldn't have said.
The magic of editing could be cut out.
Yeah, imagine if somebody could edit the episode.
Imagine if we had the ability to cut things out.
I'm sorry for all of our audio people that we keep talking about our monitoring and camera. Go watch the YouTube if you really want to and you're sick and tired of us hearing.
Or you can catch us
it.
on Spotify because we're part of a...
oh, yeah, you can see us on Spotify now.
Yeah, because we're part of a test group that's doing video on Spotify. So we're doing video casts and podcast stuff on Spotify. And so we got lucky enough to be selected by that. And you can catch our faces on Spotify or on YouTube because we're not exclusive.
That is actually how
Not
I've
yet,
been.
until somebody starts paying us.
Yeah, until Spotify, either YouTube or Spotify pays us a lot of money, then we'll be exclusive. But up until that point, nope, we're getting money from all y'all.
I'm trying to switch between y'all and then the camera. The three people in the room.
Do the thing where I do where I just stare at Randy like this.
I know we both do this, and then by the end of it, my neck hurts.
Yep.
It's like...
Yep. I was really thinking about, we did that, the episode never aired, but we did a 2-cam setup with some people before with Cam and Kat. And I actually kind of liked the way it looked.
I liked it too.
If we had just gotten the audio better or done the audio better.
We can still do 2 cameras with us because we can just do our own audio.
But then we lose this set, and that's the sad part. Because we set it up to be a flat, because that was easier to edit, and it still is. But
so that's later down the line.
Later down the line,
when we get a new place and we can change up.
When we get the
I would like to butt in really quick and just point out that I just became very hyper focused of how much I've been just staring back and forth as y'all have a conversation.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
fine,
falling back into sort of like my listener position. Because after a good 10 episodes of listening to you guys, I finally accepted the fact that y'all can't hear me whenever I yell at y'all.
Yes, we can hear you now. We should just have an episode and he can be like the third commentator. Like everything that he wants to say, he finally gets to say just in the background.
Isn't that what this is?
My dream come true.
You know what it is. Push you back a little bit.
Anyway, we're talking about a different thing.
Yeah, completely didn't spend 2.5 hours watching the thing that you wanted us to watch.
No, absolutely not. But anyways, this is Media for the Intellectually Impoverished. I'm Tayler.
I'm Randy.
And I'm Joshua A. Murray.
And this is the podcast that
enriches your mediocre lives.
That almost rhymed. Or actually, it might have rhymed.
Murray, lives.
Randy. I was going to say Randy.
Murray.
Randy Murray.
Those weren't...
They're close.
I mean, no.
It has the E.
It's a slant rhyme, right? But
well, it's not really a slant rhyme. It's just a short rhyme.
What I'm getting at here is that they weren't at the end of a...
I'm not trying to call myself Shakespeare or anything. I'm just...
Did you hear that Shakespeare, there's a theory that Shakespeare didn't actually write his plays? That, somebody else, wrote them and he was just, the front man? He got all the credit for it.
Do you think that one man wrote all of that?
I mean, what else would he be doing in the 1400s?
Being a bisexual in the 1400s.
Was it the 1400s?
I'm pretty sure it was the 14. Hey Siri.
What do we read on this podcast?
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri.
When was the Elizabethan era?
When did Shakespeare write stuff?
Okay, I found this on the web for when was the Elizabeth. And when did Shakespeare write stuff? Check it out.
1500s.
Okay,
right?
we were close.
Yeah, late 1500s, early 1600s.
Right, Renaissance started, I think, in the 1400s. Give it 100 years, and then Shakespeare.
Y'all losers.
Oh, I turned this way to look at you. My head got cut off.
We really gotta watch out where we're going. Okay.
Yeah, my fat ass is in the middle of this now, so you gotta.
No. You were literally lifting up my stool.
No.
I feel bad sometimes because some of my friends will tease me with a little bout of strength, trying to shove me. And then I'll shove back, just playing along, and then I'll almost make them fall off of a very large ledge, and then I feel like we're about to do a bit, and then I started talking.
So this is our friend Joshua Murray. I was trying to get on with the episode.
Joshua A. Murray.
Joshua A. Murray. I was trying to get on with the episode, and then you started, and Tayler had to join a bit.
Hi, it takes me a little second to recognize cues.
It's okay.
Unless they're my stage cues. I always get those on time. I mean, y'all haven't gotten to see me on stage, so you wouldn't really know.
I've seen you on a stage. You've been on stages in front of me.
I mean, I guess, but like a nice scripted musical or straight play.
You ever have to pop your knuckles on the podcast and then you're like, oh, I can't do it in front of the mic?
No.
Mine don't do that as loud. Are you the person that pops your neck? No, that's another person.
No, that scares the crap out of me.
I already did that.
Yeah.
No.
Damn it.
We have a friend who can pop her neck viciously loud.
No.
To the point where it's are you okay?
That scares me to no end. Because I think they're just going to break their neck. And I refuse to let anybody pop my neck, and I refuse to try and pop my, because no, I'm just I'm going to go, and the world's going to go black. And that's it. I'm done.
My junior year of high school, there was this kid who sat right next to me in my first period, who every morning he would get into class after I had sat down. And then he would sit down, and then he would twist all the way around until every vertebrae in his spine had cracked. And he would do it over and over again, just snapping all the way up. And I hated it. And once I even asked him if he could please maybe do it while I'm not here, or do it before you come inside. And he just sort of looked at me and he said, no. I was like, okay.
All right, that's fair.
I hate this class enough as it is, but
It's okay.
At least I'm not an A-push.
I can do that. I can crack my back pretty good, but I get it all in one go. I turn to the right and it's all the way up and I'm like, sweet relief. And then I die.
Usually
that's how
my
you
best
paralyze yourself. I can't. Anything that has to do with the neck or the spine, because that's your core. And no, I don't like it.
If I'm really in the moment, the neck can be really nice. If I'm really pissed off about something, And I want to feel like a badass because everything in life is not going my way. I'll just...
You'll what?
And usually it'll pop. And I feel a lot better.
You'll do what?
No.
Well, I can't do it right now because I did it earlier.
It's just
do the noise again. Do the motion again.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. I just wanted the noise. What are we talking about today, Joshua A. Murray?
First, we have to introduce. This is a guest.
Shit.
You forget how we do guests because I forgot how we do guests.
I've had to criticize you guys about how y'all do guests.
I just didn't know how to introduce. So we have a guest today, and it's Joshua A. Murray. You've heard him. We've talked about him before. He used to be roommates with the lovely Tayler way down there on the other side of the table.
I never thought I'd ever hear you say the word lovely followed by my name.
Yeah. That's the one and only time, and then we're going to cut it out of the episode.
I'm going to repeat it right now.
We didn't have to pause. Editing. Okay, but first we have to ask you the questions that we always ask everybody. Oh my God. What was your rank in high school?
Okay, I calculated this up and wrote this down because I've been waiting for this chance. I've been wanting
He's been begging us to be on the podcast since we started.
No.
I mean, I haven't been begging.
We said no so many times that he eventually managed to swindle us into a yes.
They just don't like me. There are actually multiple stories that they've told on this podcast where I was definitely present and y'all would talk about how like it was just you two. And I'll just sit here and I'm like, just sitting in my room with my headphones in, just like.
There's been times when we've completely forgotten who you are.
I think we forgot your name at one point.
You have forgotten my name before.
Yeah, I forget everyone's name, so it's not like an exclusive thing.
I keep a tally. These transgressions will be paid for. Anyway, my class rank, I was 119 out of like 600 and something students, so I was in the top 25th quart. The first quartile, so the top 25%.
The first quart of the gallon.
Yeah. If you took all of the people in your graduating class and put them into a very, very tiny milk carton that was a gallon milk carton, and
I don't think they make gallon milk cartons.
I mean, there are cows next to my high school, so milk.
But anyways, if you poured out a quart from that gallon of children, you would be in the quart of children.
You'd be the first one.
The first to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do in high school?
I poured a lot of milk.
There was cows right next to my high school.
I was actually a pretty busy bee. I was really into music and stuff. I was in band, and then I got into choir, and then I was doing all the theater productions. But my dad also wanted me to do a sport, so I was in swimming all 4 years.
I don't know why when you said sport, I was like football, and I was like, no.
I did football when I was really little. I have actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was. I was big, and my older brother had played football, so all of the coaches were like, "Well, obviously,
yeah,
he's
weird.
bigger. He has to be better, right?"
Yeah.
I just did like O-line, D-line. There was at one point when they made me a linebacker. I had a little bit of fun just letting loose and ripping through a bunch of small children.
What are we talking about today, Josh?
What are we talking about today, Josh?
Today, we're going to be talking about the suspension of disbelief. Since I am a musical theater major / mass media arts major, because our undisclosed university does not carry my major.
I had a really good bit, but then this got really sad, and the bit is not as good when it's a sad moment.
Nope.
Say it anyway. No balls.
I don't believe it.
That was it?
That was it. Because we're talking about the suspension of disbelief. So I was like, I don't believe it.
But yeah, since I'm a
thank you.
theater major.
Yeah, well, she was mad because I explained the joke, but I think it's funnier to explain your jokes because I'm a man and I explain things.
You see, in show business, we call that explaining things as a man.
But everyone else calls it mansplaining.
But you had us watch a specific piece of media.
Yes, I had them watch my favorite musical, Falsettos, specifically the 2016 cast revival on Broadway.
I don't believe it.
Look, you've listened to the episodes. You know this is what we do.
I would like you to know that most of the times when you sigh in the podcast, it is either right before or right after I have also sighed listening to y'all. So
I don't believe it.
No, we both find Tayler equally annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived with him. I know.
What are you going to say?
I don't believe it.
Change that. This is
gonna
actually
be-
just the Crap on Tayler podcast.
It is now, and I have Josh, and so we can.
If only I had
fully cut
3
him out.
words to truthfully describe how I feel about that statement.
Is that gonna be the title of the episode?
Yeah, all that.
Anyway, since I am a musical theater major, it's fine. I'll give you a sec. I'll give you a second to compose
I'm
yourself.
so glad you're feeling better. He was in a bad mood before we started, and I'm so happy.
I bought him zebra cakes.
That's all I needed.
That's how you know I was a good roommate. I know what things will make
I
him happy.
was very shocked because I was trying to figure out what to get him to cheer him up, and I didn't know. And zebra cakes is wow, you're smarter
Yeah,
than me.
zebra cakes really, they're dreadful for your body, but brilliant for your mental health.
So obviously, I bought 2 of the giant ones.
Is that your prescription for people who are depressed? Just zebra cakes.
Honestly, if you get the big ones and you put them in the freezer, but you don't let them freeze, you kind of just let them chill, and then you take them out, and then you eat them. That's it. That's all you need, and then you'll be happy. And then when people are like, "Just be happy," you'll be like, "I can now."
Now I can, thanks to zebra cakes. Okay, falsettos.
So falsettos. I chose falsettos because the main thing that jumps out to you is the set. You know, you want to talk about suspension of disbelief. Yes, all of these gray blocks.
Well, okay.
Are
Let's explain
what the show
first
is.
the show, and then what the 2016 cast revival did better or different than everyone else.
You want me to give a brief history of this?
Brief explanation of the plot.
So William Finn was born in Massachusetts to a lovely little Jewish family.
No, go on.
No, so
go on.
I don't know why I did this to myself. I got 2 of the most long-winded people to be on a podcast with me.
I talk so much. This was a horrible mistake.
I know.
I just hope that the SD cards will hold it all.
The battery's gonna go before the SD card.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Anyway, William Finn, he is the composer, the lyricist for this musical. He actually started this whole story with In Trousers, which was the beginning of the Marvin trilogy, Marvin being the main character of all 3 plays.
Okay.
And it was a series of 3 one-act plays that he wrote In Trousers. It was kind of shit, so he worked on it a little bit more. And then he started writing March of the Falsettos, which was a lot better. And then from that, he, told more of the character stories there. And so he went on even further to make Falsetto Land. And then we forgot that In Trousers ever existed, took March of the Falsettos and Falsetto Land, and turned those 2 one-act plays into a 2-act Broadway musical.
Nice.
Cool. What happens in Falsettos?
So we follow this huge jerk
He is
named
a
Marvin.
jerk.
He is
I hated
at least
him
in
so
Act
much.
1, he is the most horrible person. And that's kind of the point of the show, is we are watching him understand what it means to be a man and be not only the father that he's meant to be, but also just the person.
Just a human being.
A better human being.
Just a decent human being.
I mean, when you are a womanizer your entire life, and then you marry a woman, get her pregnant, have a son, sleep with
who you just wanted to have, so you could have someone to look like you.
You literally just wanted another copy of yourself.
Yeah.
So you used a woman to get that.
Yeah. And that's all the woman was good for.
Then decided that you actually think this dude over here is kind of cute, so you're gonna sleep with him, and then leave the mini-me that you just created and the mini-me printer that you used to make it, and run off with your boy toy.
That's really what that's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, man,
But as the story continues,
we start to see, Marvin, his psychiatrist falls in love with his ex-wife, and he has to sort of grapple with this fact that, I guess my ex-wife and child can't just be mine while also not having me in return. They have to have happiness too. And they go through hardships and stuff, and he starts to realize that, hey, I should care about other people's opinions and feelings because my mini-me is a psychopath in training.
You can't tell. We're all shaking our heads yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that's just Act 1. In Act 2, the lesbians show up.
Which didn't make any sense to me.
What do you mean?
Why?
Well,
what did they add to the story?
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Everybody loves the lesbians.
No,
Anybody who watches
love them, but I just mean in the story wise, they felt like they were just always in like the background. They were just kind of like they were
a little
there.
bit. I actually don't know why specifically they were brought in, but I feel like they have a good.
They round out the cast.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They round it out, but I'm just like as characters themselves and like their own, like they get no like development or anything.
Well, to be fair, you know, the lesbians who lived next door, they were Marvin's coping system while he was missing Whizzer, who was the boy toy, and you know,
didn't get any of that.
Trina and Mendel and Jason were all living happily. He was alone. He moves to a small little gay neighborhood, and his lesbian neighbors keep him company. They're also the ones who deliver a little bit of the plot news. I mean, Dr. Cordelia is the one who diagnoses. Spoiler alert. If you find any of the bootlegs for this show, you probably already know, because the one that I sent y'all is literally called AIDS and Tears Slime Tutorial. But one of the characters is diagnosed with AIDS because Falsetto Land starts in the middle of, or like the beginning of the 80s, when the crisis was really starting to take hold.
I gotta back this up before it becomes irrelevant. You had such a great opportunity to call it a Gayborhood, and you just threw it. You just wasted it.
You just whiffed it.
You did it. It was right there. It was right within your grasp. It was like, oh, in the next gay neighborhood, and I was just like, oh, Gayborhood.
It's sad because I live in the Gayborhood, so I should know.
Yeah. How could you? You're not gay anymore. We strip you from your gay.
Title
I think it's so funny that either of you think that you have that power.
As a straight white man, I think that I do indeed have that power.
I don't like the tension.
That was not what I was going for. I was gonna try to intimidate you, but then
I tried to kiss you. The only way to take a man's gay is to kiss him on the mouth.
This is true.
You guys have yet to kiss, right? That hasn't happened yet?
No, it has not.
Okay.
Yet. I want to reiterate. Yet.
Yeah. Josh looks so scared, like this is not something that you've wanted for years.
Please.
Like, this isn't something that you talk about on the daily.
On a daily?
On the daily.
That's all we talk about is just how you went to kiss.
You're like, hey Miranda, I really want to kiss Tayler today. Anyways, bye.
First
Miranda.
off, he never calls me Miranda.
Makes it.
Wait,
that's how you know it's a blatant lie.
It's just a lie. Because, you know, I wish I could do the voice that you do, but you go, Randy, or something.
Randy! I don't know if the mic picked that up or not. I was afraid it was going to.
Will.
It will, but that's the suspension of disbelief.
The suspension of disbelief. Well, I mean, in the lyrics, in the fact that it's sung all the way through, I mean, musical theater itself, you have to have a certain level of suspension of disbelief. And I'm just now realizing that we've said it multiple times now. We never actually tried to define it.
No.
Would either of you two like to try? And
I'll go for it, and then Randy will correct me, which is what usually happens.
Suspension of disbelief. No, go ahead.
Should have kept going.
I know I should have, but I didn't want to.
Suspension of disbelief is when you're watching and taking media, there is a portion of the media that you have to sort of allow to be itself, right? Because when you're watching a movie, you can't watch a whole day's worth of time. You can't be with the characters the entire time, right? So you have to suspend your disbelief, suspend this didn't actually take 24 hours to finish. So why am I, it's not real. Like, it can't be real. You have to forget about that. You have to sort of let the media be itself and be what it is so that you can take it in a format that was artistic. And that was meant by the writers and such. And so in this case, the suspension of disbelief would be that everyone is singing all the time, on top of a couple of other things that we'll get to. But the one we're talking about right now is just that, you know, people don't sing to have conversation. We're not singing right now to talk. We're just talking.
We could be singing.
No.
But yeah, so that's suspension of disbelief in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's like how I don't like watching found footage movies, because how did they find the footage? That just immediately breaks my the whole concept of the media and then itself. It doesn't make sense to me, and so I don't like watching it.
Yep. Yep. And as we said many, many eons ago, who found that found
Who
footage?
found the found footage? Who found it?
I found it.
I collectively have found all of the found footage.
Joshua A. Murray is just going through the woods finding cameras.
Oh, shit. A videotape.
Blair Witch Trials?
Ah,
I was there.
I was the witch.
Rewatch
I was
it,
the
you
third
see him in
witch.
the background. He's just following them.
I've never seen the
I'm
Blair
gonna
Witch
get that-
Trials.
Can
I'm
we
gonna be
edit
honest.
him into the Blair Witch? And just
I'm
put
gonna
it.
get that camera. He's just walking following. I'm like, that's some hardcore shit that's going on. But I'm gonna get that camera.
I can't wait to get the footage.
That camera's mine.
So I do have the Wikipedia definition of the suspension of disbelief, and I thought that this would be a good one to read because it has a very key detail in here that I think is important. So the suspension of disbelief, or willing suspension of disbelief, is the intentional avoidance of critical thinking or logic in examining something unreal or impossible in reality. Important part, in order to believe it for the sake of enjoyment. The only reason that an audience would suspend their disbelief is because it's if they want to enjoy the piece of media.
That's true. I would say there's plenty of times when we criticize movies for having unrealistic things.
Yeah.
Because the movie was unenjoyable. Whereas a movie that is good, that we enjoyed, we're like, fuck it, who cares if they skipped like 30 minutes? Who cares if we're going back in time to watch the previous year after we watch the current year? Who fucking cares? Because the movie was good. But whereas if we watch a shitty movie, we're like, oh God, why did they go back?
Could happen.
Yeah, there's no way that could happen, right? Like you don't jump back in time to watch shit. The superheroes don't exist. They can't hold a helicopter with his bare hands to a thing.
But if you had a human being who had extraordinary feats, that could be realistic. And then if those feats were so extraordinary that it was something that we hadn't seen before, that could be realistic. We see stuff like that on TikTok all the time. And then you just keep taking that further and further, and slowly you reel up and suspend your disbelief.
I don't believe it.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to think of a movie that did that really well recently, and I can't think of one, but I like to think of it as the movies that they go by really fast. So like if you watch what was a bad one? Like one of the Star Wars movies, one of the newer ones that every like 10 minutes I was checking the time. Like, is it over yet? Is it over yet? But if I can like go through a movie that's like 3 hours long and be like, that took 15 minutes, like that pulled me into it. I was living in that world with them.
No Way Home felt like that. Well, for me, it felt like it went by in a flash.
Tayler knows my gripes. They both know my gripes with No Way Home.
Everyone listening should know your gripes. If you go and listen to the previous two episodes, one of them is
the
that
episode
one.
before last, right?
There were times during the movie, the episode before last, when I was like, where are we? How much longer we got?
I would say there's definitely been movies where I've been in like that. One of the movies I can probably pick out is The Tree of Life. That movie is so long.
I have to watch that movie for class, and
No
I'm
way.
terrified because you don't like it.
It's just like, it's a really, really artsy cinema Oscar movie. Like that's just what it is.
An Oscar movie, gross.
It's beautiful. It looks amazing. It's just so slow.
I don't know what we're talking about.
It's just
I'm not a cinema
movie.
major. There are a lot of movies that I don't really know.
There's a lot of movies that I don't really know. Chris is always asking me, have you seen this movie? I'm like, no. And it hurts my soul.
Chris, the original guest that we first had on the I've said that a few times now. Listen, I just feel so welcomed by you guys, you know.
Well, you shouldn't.
Get out.
Leave. This episode's no longer a guest episode.
I had a point earlier.
You were
and I
talking about
completely forgot
enjoyment.
it.
You should the
Yeah.
media should be enjoyable. Your suspension of disbelief should be so high that you are allowing yourself to enjoy.
I mean, that was
yourself.
something that I tried to like ask both of you like very slyly. Whenever I sent y'all the link for this, I was like, please enjoy this.
Please enjoy, yeah.
Because this actually brings me to one of my first points.
Oh my God, he's
A
got
question.
points.
He
One of the
almost wrote
questions-
a dissertation.
Listen,
I, swear to
I
God.
wrote 3.5 pages that we're not going to get through.
No, we're not. Not at almost 50 minutes.
I have
40
I have
minutes.
accepted that. We're not going to get through all of it.
It's okay. Let's hit first point one.
This was actually a question that I wanted to ask you guys because I couldn't really decide. Can you be cognizant and critical of a piece of media and also suspend your disbelief enough to enjoy the piece to its fullest ability?
I think yes.
Yes.
Because you can look at a movie critically you can look at any movie critically, right? It doesn't matter whether or not you like it. And you can suspend disbelief for any movie technically, right? There's no criteria that, I mean, I know we said that like typically like a bad movie or movie you don't enjoy, you're not going to suspend disbelief for. but you
that-
can.
That is like a one of the markers for, like, recently I was watching La La Land, and that movie is, like, from a critical standpoint and from like a cinematic standpoint, it's beautiful, but the entire time I felt like I was in that world because of how beautiful and well shot that it was. The fact that I could look at it critically and see those things helped me suspend my disbelief, like, even more.
And I feel like that can be like a hallmark for a really great piece of media, is if you can do both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm an actor, okay? I can hire me, please.
Yeah, all you top-notch
Shameless
producers
promotion.
that are listening to our podcast.
My bones just popped.
Good.
Oh, we were just talking about that earlier. Huh?
Yeah, we were. It's crazy how
stop.
shit goes full circle.
I have to pay rent, so give me a job. I promise I'm good. I'm an actor. I have to immerse myself in worlds for whatever script I am handed if I have accepted a job or if I'm auditioning for something. You know, I have to put myself in that world. My suspension of disbelief has to be so high that I not only can enjoy a piece of media, but I believe that I'm in it. So I can watch really, really crappy media that, like, most people are like, this is so dumb. This is the dumbest thing. And I can suspend my disbelief enough to be like, I can at least see where they're coming from, what they were trying to do, maybe point out some of the things that they needed to get better. Or I can go even further and just be like, hey, that was fun.
Brain
But like
off.
something that I notice, if the piece of media isn't good enough for me to be able to suspend my disbelief and be critical of it, it becomes a huge either or. And I feel like I have to dumb myself down to enjoy that piece of media. Or I can just be critical of it and see all of the flaws and just have a horrible time watching whatever this is. And that is something that's up to the creator to get right, is whether or not they're going to be good at their shit.
Well said. Well put. You creators out there,
Just be good.
be
Just
good
be
at your
good.
shit.
Be good at the shit.
Get good.
Now here's the question.
Get good script.
How do we use suspension of disbelief? How can we use that in our media? How can we use that in our stories effectively? Or how can we push our audience to suspend their disbelief? Do you have any ideas of how one might do that?
Kind of. So along with all of my research that I was doing, I watched a TED Talk. Not sponsored yet. Hashtag not that.
Man,
Um,
can you believe that?
You know, I can leave. I can just ramble on and time out your timer, and then y'all will just have nothing for a podcast.
Well, then you just don't get the episode to go up.
My hopes and dreams are ruined.
Can you believe that, Randy? It's never gonna stop. It'll keep going. I'll
Anyway, I
Did
watched
you
it.
not just see me wash off that joke? I had to, like, wash it off, and then you immediately said it again. It's just okay.
So I watched a TED Talk,
Mhm.
and in said TED Talk, he was breaking down suspension of disbelief. He was a director for a theater, and they had put on Dracula. Now, there's a certain scene in the Dracula stage play where Dracula takes a dagger for some reason because he can't just bite the guy. He's holding him at knife point, and he's like, don't move or I'll stab him. And then the guy takes one for the team, grabs Dracula's hand, and drives it through his own heart. And it's supposed to be like a really intense scene. So obviously, second day of the performance, theater happens, and Dracula forgets to grab the dagger. So now he's about to plunge the thumb of death into this kid.
Mm.
You know, the director is just waiting for the audience to blow up into laughter.
Mm.
But sure enough, the kid grabs the arm, plunges the thumb of death into him, and the audience is in reverence of this moment. They're like, oh my gosh. You have to take reality and then strip away layer by layer. Once you've stripped away too many layers, you know that your story isn't strong enough to support that high of a suspension of disbelief. It's like a fly system in a theater. You know, the way it works, it's on a pulley system, and you have a bunch of weights that outweigh the thing that you're flying onto the stage. If you don't have enough weight to balance it out, your set piece is just going to hit the stage and crash and burn and kill everyone in the theater.
You guys, I feel like you guys are just waiting for me to just do it again.
Get out.
No.
You didn't even say it again.
No,
I want you to
really
leave.
wanted
You're
you to
silent.
add something to the conversation
Well-
for once. Oh, sorry, the mic wasn't even close to where I was speaking. I wanted you to add something to the conversation for once, but you just stayed.
Well, I mean, I agree, right? Like, what do you want me to add, huh? Huh?
Well, so you touched on the fact that it's like it's story. Your story itself has to be very strong in its like suspension of disbelief. But
Not just like the story, but also your theme, your message.
Mhm.
The whole skeleton of it needs to be strong enough to withstand. And now, giant purple blobs. You know,
Yeah.
like you'll see like those really crappy B-list horror movies.
Mhm.
Attack of the Killer Donuts.
Never seen it, but okay,
It's so bad.
I can imagine.
I could suspend my disbelief enough to believe that some kid's uncle threw a vat of chemicals into their donut fryer while he was at work,
Oh my God.
and all of the donuts turned into flesh-eating monsters that ate everybody. But most people cannot, because there wasn't enough substance in that to really pull it
Mhm.
through.
Yeah.
And also the CGI was bad. But
Well, yeah, I mean that, you know.
There's
What do you do about
there's
that?
some need to be true to life as well. I mean, you talked about superhero movies earlier, like the superhero, especially in Marvel, as much as they have like superpowers and are superhuman, they do have really human qualities to them that you can relate to on a level of lost love and needing to help others.
Yeah, other superhero qualities.
Other-
Dead parents.
Yeah, dead parents. But it's
I get the. I'm not gonna make that joke.
no,
That's
let's not-
insensitive.
let's not make that joke. It's also
I'm sorry, Batman.
I think the next layer on top of that is your actors. You need as much as the story needs to be strong in and of itself and its themes and its messages, your actors need to be
You need to have
on
serious
point.
enough actors
to
who
be able to, yeah.
One of the things that I really admired about the Falsettos was their use of set, right? Because what they did is they have just like in the center of the stage, they have a box. And that box is made up of a bunch of different pieces that they take off during the show and then use as set. And so it's not like, oh, they are pushing on a couch or the box is made up of a couch. The box or the couch is made up of boxes.
Mhm.
And they're using those boxes as a couch and they use them in creative ways. And each piece can be something different. And I've always loved that idea just because it's like that simplicity allows you to focus more on the actors, on what they're saying, on what they're singing. Cause this is a very like high, like you must be paying attention kind of.
To get
kind of
all
musical.
the nuances of it.
It's a
yeah.
very emotion-based show. The
Mhm.
reality isn't sewn very well into it, so you really have to pay attention to get all of it. No, I love that set. It's something that I cannot get my mind behind, that they had almost all of the set pieces for at least Act 1 that they needed just in that cube.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to cut that limited space into the perfect angles to get anything that they needed.
Yep. And it's amazing some of the maneuvers that they do as well in the middle of it to get things looking like
I'm
they're
just
supposed
realizing
to.
the mic was probably way too far away
Were
from
you
my mouth.
gesturing with the mic?
Yeah,
Were you a mic gesturer?
I was.
I don't know why, like the etiquette has left me because I noticed that I'm doing it more and more. Maybe I never had the etiquette.
When I
Maybe.
say false, you say Edos. False. What was that bit rating?
Taylor was like, "Ooh, let's get out of that one.
Yeah. You
Let's
know, it's a
throw
bad
that
one when
away."
Taylor when
can't
Taylor
take
doesn't
it.
double down on it. That's not a good bit.
Taylor just
Let's circle back to how can you get your audience to suspend disbelief? Do you think there's any way that we as creators can do it, or is it purely on the audience to suspend their own disbelief?
It's both. I mean, like as we were going through, it's your story, your actors, and then the next thing that you brought up was set. The set that the actors are interacting with, like it has to be real for them. Like when they pick up an object or when they sit up or they interact with somebody else, that all needs to feel like it is happening in real life. It doesn't. There was one part in Falsettos when the two of them are laying in the bed, in like a hospital bed, And he suddenly like sits up real quick, and I was like, that didn't make sense. That was and just for that brief moment, I was like, that didn't work. That broke the disbelief for me. But so it's all three. It's a combination. So all of those things need to be working together. So how do you help your audience? Your audience needs to also go into it with a sense of, I'm watching a movie. I'm sitting down, or a television show, or a book, or anything, any media that you're intaking. You need to know that if it's a fiction piece, if it's not real, that this is fiction. I will have to put up my suspension of disbelief to an extent already walking into it. If you're watching a documentary, or if you're reading something nonfiction, or if you're listening to a podcast, any of those medias, it's already immediately lower because you're expecting to get like facts out of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a lot of things that the creator and the actors and everybody else, they have to do to get it there. But the audience also has to meet in the middle. Like there will be people, like back in high school, whenever we would do musical theater and stuff, there would be students who would come in just to like make fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get somebody like that to suspend their disbelief when you have like limited budgets and stuff, and they're going explicitly because they don't like it.
And they're just little dicks. They're just tiny little dicks. They're like if you took a bag of.
Let's not talk about the high schooler tiny little dicks.
They don't have. They are the dicks. And this isn't even just high schoolers. This is just people that like walk in to make fun of media, like with that mindset.
The hecklers.
Yeah, they're like if you took a bag of dicks and you weeded out all of the big ones, and you're like, these are solid dicks, and then all you had left in the dick bag was tiny dicks. That's what they would be.
It's a Monday.
They'd be those tiny dicks.
Randy, it's a Monday. It's a Monday evening.
I know.
We're starting our week
with a tiny bag of dicks.
No, a bag of tiny dicks.
A bag of tiny dicks.
Anyway,
I feel like that was. I
don't think that was a solid bit, and we're moving on.
Okay, fine.
Because you know what?
Yeah.
An audience who is going to be a tiny bag of dicks. Or a bag of tiny dicks.
A bag of tiny Tayler is going to kill the next person who says tiny bag instead of tiny dicks.
You said it wrong. It's not necessarily like my job to make assholes who have nothing better to do than be assholes not be assholes.
Yeah. I agree. I 100% agree. There will always be people who are going to look at your media and they are going to be a bag of tiny dicks.
No, immediately going to shut it down. Not with no rhyme or reason, just because of the way that they were brought up, the way that society, whatever you want to say. There will be people who just go into it and like, nope, I hate it. And why? Because it's not good. And
that's it. And that's just part of being an artist. That's part of putting your art out there. And you can't let that sort of shut you down. You have to kind of like push through it, because just because there's like one or two, maybe three people that are being a bag of tiny dicks doesn't mean. I was very specific.
I know.
In my storytelling.
I know.
And you're being a bag of tiny dicks right now.
Tiny bag of dicks.
Wow, Randy. Wow.
I'm sorry.
So people will always, there are going to be people that hate on it, but just because there's like 5 or 6 people that are going to be like dicks about it, they're going to hate on your media just for hating on it, doesn't mean that there's not 5 times as many people who you're touching with that media who really appreciate what you're making or who resonate with the story you're telling. This isn't, necessarily on topic, but it is something that I feel we should reiterate if we said it before, which we probably have
many times. But it's always good to say it again.
Yeah, like don't let people that suck get you down, because there are plenty of people that don't suck that are out there that will enjoy what you're talking about, what you have to say.
I just think the last thing that I wanted to say about how as creatives can we help meet the audience halfway. I think when it comes to storytelling, especially in a visual format, you need to have people on set, or you need to have people in the writer's room who aren't as passionate about the project as you, who can look at it with an outsider's perspective. Because I think while you're writing, while you're directing something, you can get so high in your own suspension of disbelief that you're taking it more than halfway. And so what you're really seeing, what the actors, what the set is giving you, isn't really doing it. And that's with all like media, and that's something we've talked about for other different reasons of why you should have outsiders look at your work, but I think that's something else that you need. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Much agreed.
Much
Very
agreed.
well. Yes. I believe it.
All right, before we cut this off,
Who said we were cutting it off?
Oh, I wasn't sure.
This is a 2-hour podcast now.
Yeah, come on. This is a 3-hour
We
podcast.
only
let me
made
get
it
to the rest of my
halfway.
notes.
We're not even halfway.
Not
yet.
even halfway, man.
Golly, we didn't tell you that this is a 24-hour session?
No, in fact, all day you've been trying to tell me that this is not going to be more than
day.
1.5
No,
hours,
I don't
and
know
that
what you've been telling
I
him,
should
if
stop.
anything, but he was telling me all about his research, literally was talking about writing a dissertation on it, and I was like, look, sweetie, we're not going to get to everything. I need you to be okay with that. We're not going to get to everything.
Oh, no, it's fine. Now with all of this research, I'm ready as a junior in college to go into grad school and write my dissertation.
Yeah.
I have my starting points.
Yes.
Professors have given me books to read about it.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid four pages of notes.
That's all you need for a dissertation.
That's all you need for a dissertation.
300
Listen,
plus
it's a good
pages
place.
off
It's a
of-
good place to
us.
start when you're 4-6 years ahead.
Yeah, you're doing great. Honestly, you're on the way.
Anyway, I did want to point this out. It's kind of suspension of disbelief, but it's also just a small little tidbit from the show that I feel like people don't talk about enough.
You scared
Is there
me.
something about small tidbits that you don't like? What did you realize?
I'm not going to make y'all guess, even though I want to make y'all guess, but you'll never figure it out. No, the past 2 episodes, we haven't done recommendations.
We haven't had
I thought we were going to
recommendations.
recommend after
No, I'm
at
just...
the end.
I know, but we're getting close to the end, so I started thinking about recommendations, and I thought last week...
Y'all didn't
You
do
guys-
recommendations last
No,
week?
romance, the camera died, and so we immediately cut off the episode, and so we didn't do recommendations. Week before that was Spider-Man. We could have done recommendations, but we didn't.
Spider-Man kind of made sense not to.
Yeah, because we were just talking about One Piece. I think with deep dives, we should let's call them deep dives.
We should.
We should probably stick with the recommendation is that thing, but continue.
Sorry, that's why I gave that face. But tell what.
Well, it's so one of the things that that our director James Lapine, not our director, but like the director James
No, he was
Lapine.
ours.
He is directing
He's-
my life.
I would love
He's
to be
currently
directed by
sitting
James
outside
Lapine.
on the
I
couch.
don't think
He's
you
texting me,
understand.
telling
That
me
man
exactly
is a legend.
What to say every moment.
He is a
Okay.
legend in theater. Anyway, one of the things that that team did, Whizzer and Marvin, when they get back together in Act 2, they play racquetball. It's a cute thing. In Act 1, Marvin was all upset that Whizzer didn't have the drive to try to win things and be intellectual like him.
Mhm.
And now they play a game where Whizzer feels like he can be competitive, and they enjoy that. And he has this like really tight fitting, really gay outfit, just like really short, really tight. Just,
No, keep going.
Andrew
No, I
Reynolds
don't get it.
completely just emblazoned on stage.
I'm not understanding.
When they did the Tony performance, you saw more than you needed to, and
I'm not-
everybody knows if you know.
I'm not quite. Can you paint a better picture for me?
You should have watched it, so
No,
I think
I
you
did,
should know.
but I'm. It's foggy. If you could just
remind me.
remind me
what it was.
Andrew Reynolds' dick was very visible in those white shorts. Is that what you wanted me to say? Is that what we needed here?
Still not quite getting it.
Okay. Anyway, later on in Act 2, we see them playing racquetball again, but this time all of these like really extremely tight, well-fitting clothes are now extremely baggy.
Oh,
And this is the
Interesting.
scene that he passes out, and we find out that he has actually contracted HIV and AIDS.
Mm.
And one of the things that they did to show that without telling it, show don't tell, was they made him look like he had lost an extreme amount of weight,
Mhm.
and
That's
now
so
his
cool.
clothes are really baggy.
That's really, really well done.
And
with
then
costume design.
he faints. It's one of my favorite little facts because like
That's so cool, and I love things like that. Like I am so upset that I didn't catch that because I love catching those things.
mhm. Anyway, it's just a cute little tidbit. Those are like small details. When I have directed a show before, when I was when my senior year, I wrote and
Did you
directed
know that
a
he's
play.
directed?
Don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it. Do you believe it?
I do. But do you think he's lying to me?
I don't know.
I created a Gmail and everything. I was gonna send this off to like
I'm very excited. Did you actually direct something?
yeah. So in my senior year, our spring show was a collection of one-act plays, senior-directed one-act plays. It was a little competition that we held, sort of like the Texas UIL one-act play competition.
God, now they know what state we live in.
We've didn't mention that. Y'all mentioned that before. Okay, so
what they know the surrounding cities to our city. It wouldn't be that hard to guess where we are.
It was.
And we've said the university that we go to.
Y'all did
by accident.
I've been so sure.
Well, now you're pointing it out
and disclosed.
You could cut all this out, but you won't.
Will I?
But you won't.
Who knows? Do you know?
I do know.
Do you know?
Because I know you, and you won't. You'll get lazy. You by this point in the episode, you'll be like, I'm done.
That's so true.
Dang.
Stop calling me out.
I hate it. That's why all the funny edits are in the front half and all the missing footage is in the back half.
That is exactly why.
Anyway, I was in the middle of a story.
Wow. Way to gay-splain. Way to gay. Way
so
to
when
gay,
I directed a show.
Way to gatekeep. I've committed a homophobic act.
I'm about to commit a hate crime.
I thought he was getting up to leave, and I was so excited. I was like, Josh, it gets to be our podcast.
Honestly, I would love that. I would live for it.
Yes.
They wouldn't be able to handle the energy, though.
They wouldn't.
Oh, it's terrifying.
No, you two are definitely the better fit out of this little trio for something like this. I really enjoy y'all's podcast.
Thank you.
Anyway, when I directed a show, I wanted to be a huge stickler on like details, to the point where I changed the date. I made my actors take like a little whiteboard because there was a school scene. Whenever the whiteboard was turned around for the next scene, I made them go through, erase the dates, change them to match like the exact timing.
Wow, that's cool.
I was a huge stickler for little details like that because when you go in and you do as many little details as you can, anything that you have to suspend your disbelief for is a lot easier because you have such a real thing already. And this was a show about imaginary friends.
Mm-hmm.
It was something you had to suspend your disbelief for.
Mm-hmm.
I had a kid with really horrible blue makeup on his face. He almost didn't go on stage because it looked so bad. But I was like, no, it's too late.
It's too late. You're going. Do it.
And it was pretty good. I really enjoyed that. And I feel like focusing on those small details can help you make a world seem real enough to where people will accept those wilder details and suspend their disbelief.
I'm so glad we got there because that's another great point.
Yeah, the fact that focusing on and not to be like because I feel like there's a way to take it too far, right?
No, you can definitely get lost in the details to where they don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I almost made my students look up. So there was a little section on the board that was like the word of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to have them Google what the word of the day for that day was and put that on that was a little too far.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Well, your story can get bogged down in those details. Like if you get to the point where you're trying to point out and you're trying to have every detail have its moment, the story in itself gets muddied.
And that's something I like is like you do all of those details and you don't highlight them. You don't point them out.
They have to be in the background. They have to they're details that only you and the very few select out there will notice.
Like the fact that the
baggy clothes.
The baggy clothes.
Yeah.
And that wasn't something that I noticed until like my 5th watch through, until I saw somebody else's little edit of it being like, notice this. And then I saw it and I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
It's like,
but that's so good.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We keep cutting you off. Do you feel like you want to say something? No? Shouldn't have handed it over. Sorry. It's like in Kanto, where like Bruno is like running in the background and you don't notice it until like somebody points it out on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are some recommendations? Is there there's not a single movie where you're like, I must suspend disbelief?
Think about like the wildest movie that you watched. Maybe like a live action movie that was really crazy or like an animated movie that was really crazy.
I mean, my suspension of disbelief, I feel like is pretty high. Like maybe not. It goes back and forth. Like, yeah.
It depends on the movie.
It really does. Like,
Here, what is a really crappy piece of media that you have to suspend? You like it, but you know it's bad, and you just suspend your disbelief enough to where you enjoy it.
Heart of Dixie. It's a television show.
I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
About the dog?
No, that's Winn-Dixie.
Winn-Dixie.
No, Heart of Dixie. It's this. It's kind of. Nobody's gonna know, but it's this like not spinoff, but it's kind of like a retelling of like Northern Exposure, which was a show that my parents used to watch.
Do you know what that is?
No idea.
But so it's this
Honestly,
big city girl. This big city girl moves from New York to a small town in Alabama, Bluebell, Alabama, and she has to become like. She's trying to be a doctor, but the school she wants to get in won't let her in because she's not a good people person. So she goes to Bluebell, Alabama to learn to be a people's person. And then she falls in love with two guys and it's like a whole love triangle thing. Like the show is terrible. Like it's terrible. But I love it.
Why?
Because it has love in it.
Oh my
gosh.
Because it's lovey-dovey. No, it's good. It has its moments where it's I want to live there. I want to live in Bluebell, Alabama, where the women are mean. But it's like, it's so pretty there, and everybody wears dresses, and everybody's...
I'm trying to find a recommendation.
Oh, I thought you were about to play Falsettos music
No,
while she
I
was
wasn't.
talking.
I
And I was
wasn't
like,
going
you
to try
can't
to
do that.
No,
Man, we don't
I
own
just.
it. We don't own it, man. We don't own it.
I'm going to make y'all have the biggest copyright strike.
No.
Tick, tick, boom.
Tick, 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 boom.
Tick, tick, boom.
Tick Tick Boom's pretty well. There is that one scene.
That one.
No, I'm saying it's... What do you mean? What?
He's
Well,
talking about
Tick Tick Boom, like the movie, it follows a pretty rigid, like serious tone.
Mm-hmm. But like, I watched that whole movie and I was like, I'm there. Like, this is it. Like, I believe every edit, every move that this man is making. I am here and I am following his pain.
For me, I mean, I always bring up like the same 6 games because I play no new games. I was gonna say Uncharted, right? Because it's got that like Raiders of the Lost Ark feel, where it's just this guy's doing crazy feats and he somehow isn't getting shot this entire time, and you're beating up all the bad guys and you win, and you know, like there has to be some level of like, of course he would get shot, but it's more fun when he's not shot, and to believe that he never gets shot.
The game.
Yeah, and not even just from that, from like a story perspective, it's just more exhilarating if he's able to get out of all these things unharmed, you know, or slightly harmed. And so that's where the most suspension of disbelief for me comes from, is specifically that. I think Uncharted 4 the most, because that's when all the craziest, bombasticest stuff happens to him all the time. I said it. I'll say it again. Bombasticest.
Oh, that's not what I was saying. I finally remembered the quote that I was trying to think of.
Oh, did you?
Because, no, you had said I had said it's nice when he doesn't get shot. And it reminded me of a quote from
Who
Friends.
doesn't get shot?
And so I remembered this like half a quote from Friends where Chandler's talking about kind of like the suspension of like everybody's really sad about this movie. I think it's Bambi that they're talking about, and like they're making fun of Joey that he cried at like the beginning of Bambi. He's like, yeah, it was really sad when they stopped drawing the deer. And it's like,
see, those are the kinds of people that I don't like. Like, if you're going to watch a Disney movie, an animated movie, suspend your disbelief enough to where 2D drawings come to life. I think Disney does a good enough job to warrant that.
No, yeah.
No,
Chandler was just being cynical.
I heard your neck pop.
Oh, you did?
Did you get it in the mic? Did you get that juicy little
almost
crack?
Definitely got that in the mic. That was loud.
Just amplify it in the edit, and then just break everyone's eardrums.
Yeah, I felt good, but it also like it was one of those ones where I was like, oh, that could be it.
Well, I did find.
No! I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Don't like it. Oh, that movie's.
I'm sorry, when people
such a horrible
like,
show.
I have irrational fears, and one of them is like I can pop my knuckles. I finally got into that. Like in high school, you could not pop your knuckles around me. It was terrifying. Could not handle it. I'm okay with popping knuckles. If you pop anything else, I will throw up. Like I can't. Don't like it. Sorry, Josh. Make your recommendation.
I actually found a pretty good recommendation that's fairly topical. Cats. Not the movie. Not the movie. The movie doesn't get the point right. No, you should watch the recording from... Oh, I'm about to show off that I'm a bad musical theater major. I can't remember.
Shame
I
on
can't
you.
remember
Everybody,
the year.
1, 2, 3.
I cannot
Shame
remember the year from
on
a
you.
pro shot recording
say
of
shame.
Cats.
Shame.
Oh my gosh.
Shame.
You.
I was just gonna say.
Either way,
shame.
don't watch the movie. Watch the pro shot recording, because it's still weird. It's still crazy, and you still have to suspend your disbelief real hard to get all of these human beings in lycra suits and actually understand what the heck they're trying to say. But I think if you suspend your disbelief far enough and you really let yourself be invested in this world, like what if this world of cats had this secret order and they had these things, like how like in their society touching your paws together is a sign of togetherness.
Don't believe it. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode and thanks so much. Thank you. So suspend your disbelief for me for a minute and pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this intellectual journey. We will catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Media for the Intellectually Impoverished is hosted by Trey Taylor Smith and Miranda Randy Zapes.
Produced by Cam Ritchie and edited by Kat Trapella.
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at MFTII Podcast.
Subscribe to our YouTube at Media for the Intellectually Impoverished or email us at mftiipodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.